Thank you very much. Well, one of the 212 Republicans who voted against it joins us now from Washington, D.C. Republican Peter King. He represents part of Long Island. Welcome, Congressman. Congressman Boehner, the Republican leader, said that this will, good morning again, will ruin America. I was surprised to hear him say that, but he said it a couple of times. He thinks that this legislation, this law, could ruin the country. Do you agree with him?
First, Greg, let me just say, it wasn't just Republicans. It was also 34 Democrats that broke with their party bosses to vote against this legislation. I think this will be very damaging to our health care system. We have the best health care system in the world, and what we are now doing is moving it toward a European social democracy. It's going to have a devastating impact in the tri-state area by raising taxes at a time when we're in a recession. Those making over $200,000, over $250,000, that's a lot of money in other parts of the country. It's not in the New York, New Jersey, Long Island area. And at a time when the state and the city and the counties are in such dire shape, to raise taxes at this time is absolutely insane. It's wrong. And what we're going to do with the healthcare system, quite frankly, services are going to be reduced. It is going to diminish healthcare. And basically, it's going to, I believe, create, instead of a healthcare system, one large motor vehicle system.
At least the bumper sticker version of health care, one could argue, is somewhat appealing. Let's go through some of the highlights. Number one, seniors get a break on prescription medication almost immediately. Small businesses get a tax credit to provide health insurance for their employers. Folks can keep their children on health insurance, their health insurance plans, until the age of 27, their 27th birthday. As far as the midterm elections go, they've got some selling points here, do they?
The fact is the overwhelming majority of the American people are against this. The fact also is that almost 85% of the American people have health insurance today. They have it already. And as far as taxes and small businesses, they are going to be seriously affected by this, which is why so many small businesses and so many business groups are opposed to it, because they know of the job-stifling impact it's going to have.
One thing I found interesting, the New York Times tried to make the case yesterday that what passed yesterday was even more, was milder, not as bold as what Richard Nixon, a person you worked for a long time ago, what Richard Nixon proposed in the 1970s. I mean, things certainly have changed.
Well, things certainly have changed if the New York Times is endorsing Richard Nixon. Fact is, in the world in which we live today, this is a very damaging bill, and to have such a large majority of Americans opposing it and have the President and the Speaker of the House ram it through by using every type of pressure tactic they could, to me it flies in the face of democracy. If you're going to have such a large change in 1/7 or 1/6 of the nation's economy, and you have a solid majority of the American people against it, that's just wrong. And I think we're going to see the results this November. I think it's going to have a devastating impact on the Democrats in November.
Now, before we get to November, and this is not the law of the land yet, the president hasn't signed it. There is still, I think, a reconciliation bill. I've heard some murmurings that the Republicans will try to repeal this or perhaps stop it, that there are options left. Are there?
Yeah, you know, there are legal options as far as reconciliation, what's going to happen in the Senate. I think we have to assume that ultimately the bill is going to be signed. I think you will see a lot of states, though, bringing legal actions against it. It's to me, a stretch of the Commerce Clause of the Constitution to say that the government can require someone to take action. Yes, the government can regulate commerce. They can regulate commercial activity. I don't believe they can force someone to take action. The states can do it, but not the federal government. So I think you'll see, ultimately, this could be challenged. It is going to be challenged in court, and parts of it could be declared unconstitutional. As far as reconciliation, listen, we've seen over the last few weeks, whatever Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi have to get done, no matter how they have to twist the law or twist the rules, they'll do it. So, unfortunately, I think it probably will be signed into law. It will be in effect, but then it will be challenged in court. And I think there's a very good chance that significant parts of it could be declared unconstitutional under the Commerce Clause.
All right, Peter King, thank you very much. They'll have to read it first if they're going to take it to court. It's big. Here it is. Nobody really reads all these things, do they? I mean, it's unpractical. I'm not trying to say that they don't do their jobs, but it is impractical to read an entire bill. A lot of this stuff is annex. A lot of this stuff is addendums and glossaries and that kind of thing. Is that fair to say?
Oh, yes. Listen, it's a practical matter. No one is going to read every bill. But you do have staff. And let me just say, on both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, we had our staffs working around the clock, analyzing it. And certainly, while I did not read every line of the bill, my staff briefed me on it. I looked at specific parts of it. And also, in fairness to Democrats, you will have Democrats on here this morning, whether or not they read every line of the bill, they were familiar. There's probably no bill in history that more people have been familiar with. This has been going on for a year right now.
All right. Peter King, Republican from Long Island, we thank you for being here. We'll catch up with you again.